and a macro hatch, he does actually have the larva to be able to afford to throw those Zerglings away. A lesser Zerg might not. A lesser Zerg might have the minerals to throw those Zerglings away, but not the larva. 2/2's done for life. He has a very sizable Muta ball right now, and he's denied every single drop. So his income's never really been hurt. He knows he's done a ton of damage to Maru, and he knows that there's a good chance that Maru doesn't even have a 4th base on the way. So he has a very safe, stable 4-base econ with a very powerful Crete spread, sizable army that he feels is stronger than Maru's, while at the same time being able to just, this is the point where life's just going to decide to stick on Ling Bling and choke Maru out, prevent him from taking a 4th base. Maru kind of moves a little bit too far on the map, and this is where life decides to just go in. He's got a lot of Zerglings without any Banelings, and that scared me right when I saw this engagement. But right here, really what he's trying to do is, he's not really worried about losing all these Zerglings. He's got 79 total. He can afford to remake Zerglings, but Maru here can't really afford to remake Medivacs. If life kills 4 Medivacs here and then comes in a minute later, and there's just the same as powerful of an army, 150 supply Maru army, but only 4 Medivacs instead of 6 or instead of 8, it's going to be a very, very different engagement, and it's going to be a lot more favored towards life. So this engagement, these Zerglings are really just, you know, if they killed these amount of Marines, that's just kind of just icing on the cake. What he's really thinking about are these Medivacs. So he's got 1. He's got 2. He gets 3. I think he gets 3. Actually, no, he doesn't get that one. But how many mutas did he lose there? I think he only lost a couple. He had 22, yeah. So he lost 2. He lost 2 mutas total.
Oh wait, let's see, turn 1.
And that hurt him in the resources loss tab. It wasn't as cost efficient trade for him. But now Maru only has 5 Medivacs and, you know, just a tiny army, and all the Widow Mines are used. So, and all the Widow Mines were used on Zerglings, and even though that was a large Zergling count, they weren't Banelings, and Banelings are what secures in the win, especially if, you know, the Medivacs are dying. And this is just, you know, Zerg's version of parade pushing. Just wrestling. So what won life this game? The first counterattack, attacking the supply depot, hurt Maru's attention span. He picks up, goes to do the double drop. Maru's focusing on double drop and micro, and then he sends a small Baneling force. Maru has to micro against the Banelings with his Hellions to make sure he doesn't just like get A-moved into, while also still worrying about macro, while also making sure he doesn't lose all 16 of his Marines to some small Baneling number while he's trying to put on pressure, and then he gets counterattacked again, and that second counterattack was the nail in the coffin, because once life has 4 base income, I mean, even if it's minor 4 base, these 5 drones are just so pivotal. If you don't have these 5 extra drones mining, you can't afford to do what life is doing here, this type of aggression. So being able to secure this and know that you're safe, and with all these mutas out, and once he took complete map control, he knew he could just turn on the pressure and put everything towards offense. Does he have anything on defense right now? I don't think he has a single unit on defense at the end of this game. Everything's rallied towards the enemy's base. He has nothing staying at home like, oh, maybe there's a drop coming. No, he knows that he pushed Maru back, and he's just on full-on offense at this point. So yeah, that was game 1. I really liked, I was really impressed by Life's ability to distract Maru the second he was doing counterattacks, particularly the first time. It really hurt him. It took Maru's income down from like 2,100 resources to like 1,300 for a solid minute, and that minute is just, it was so crucial. It allowed Life to just take that 4th base and feel safe about it, and it helped him get Crete spread to that 4th base faster, which made him feel safer later. So let's go on to game number 2. But yeah, let me just reiterate what he did that game. Life scouts the CC after Rax, mines only 100 gas just for Ling speed, and then pulls off Ling speed, or gas, I mean. Goes 3 queen, into a fast third base, and then into 5 queen, and then into a bunch of drones and gas, and then drones and evos, and a Bailey nest. Then once he's finally, just as he's finally fully 3-base income, like 67 drones, 60 to 67 drones, he starts a lair, and a 4th base, and that's right around the 9-minute mark. And then he builds a macro hatch when the lair finishes. He starts a spire. He makes a group of lings to poke, and leaving the next round of lings that he makes at home, knowing that because his spire's late, he has to keep lings and blings at home to defend against the possible double drop. Or any kind of drop for that matter. And
it was like Hunter's Marker Silence. I feel like Silence
builds some units in between his 3rd and 4th base, keeps some in between in his main base. Once he realizes that his 3rd and 4th base are relatively safe, he doesn't see any kind of drop going, he sends them south, uses those lings as a counterattack, actually successfully gets the counterattack into the main base, happens actually twice, gets him a huge advantage, and then he just defends drops until his mutas comes out. When his mutas comes out, pushes all the drops off the map, and then goes on full frontal offense and breaks Maru with the 2/2 upgrades. Ling Bling muta attack. And so yeah, that's pretty much how game 1 went. Game 2 is Secret Spring.
Maybe.
Let's fast forward through the beginning stages of this game.
I'm take him down to 19.
That's what I'm saying. There's already a taunt he has to decide whether he's going to fireball or put a big boy down. Right. The 4 drops, great play here. 5 drops, great play here.
He doesn't scout. Oh, he does scout the 2. Oh, we missed the start of it. Whoops. Alright, I'm going to get off ×2.
I think I played the one more back.
Alright. So Life scouts the double racks. Double racks Reaper. Against the first Reaper, he just uses his drones, micro them away. He makes that one a spine. Looks like he didn't want to have to go in circles and fear the second Reaper showing up and potentially just killing it. He morphs the spine, probably will cancel it once he runs the Reapers away, like shoos the Reapers away, he could cancel it. But he sees the barracks, or the bunker, realizes that there's a bunker, decides I need creep here, sees the second Reaper, decides maybe I should just save my energy for a potential inject, decides not to cancel the spine because there's a bunker, especially now that he sees that second bunker. Loses the Zerglings because he's trying to focus on putting the Spine Crawler in position. Keeps the Queens in between the drones and the Reaper to keep the drones safe. Instantly realizes the Reapers are trying to do some kind of counter. Has the Lings to prevent him from going into the natural. Keeps that 1 Queen. Now the Queen's over 50 energy. Can lead to a possible inject. Transfuse, I mean. He's saving it for a potential transfuse, still saving it.
You can't go.
Realizes there's 5 Reapers now. I would be amazed as well and a little confused. And that's, I think, the reason why he took so much damage on that Queen. He didn't realize that there was going to be that much pressure. Sadly here, Life decides to inject, thinking that there's been enough time pass. This Queen looks like it has a lot of energy. I very much doubt Life clicked specifically on the Queen. He probably just saw, wow, that's a lot of energy. I can probably afford to inject. So, oh, actually, never mind. He didn't inject. He did transfuse. It's just this one couldn't transfuse a second time. So he tried to keep this Queen alive long enough to be able to do a double transfuse, and he was only able to get 1. And of course, Maru's perfect micro, not losing a single Reaper. 3 in the very red.
And next turn I can Helm Master this.
Brutal, force a ton of Zerglings out. This map can be pretty tough, having to go through a vertical or a very thin choke. Really great for Hellions. Looks like he knocked down the rocks though. Obviously this was a great There are only a few things in this replay I want to discuss because this map is relatively Terran favored, and this is kind of a weird strategy. You don't really see this too frequently in your or my kind of play, so it's less relevant to analyze, especially since I don't think Maru typically does this every time he plays this map. I think this was a build he decided to throw in against Life specifically for this moment, not for any kind of long-term play. He's not planning on doing this build probably ever again.
Survive 5 turns, I win the
But
game. So,
who knows? Maybe he loves this and it works out all the time. But it's hard for me to think that a 7 Reaper opening is standard for Maru.
Wow.
So Life here is, of course, trying to take advantage of the queens that he did make to help defend against his Reapers to spread creep, while also trying to kill these rocks. Of course, he wants to kill these rocks instead of these because he's expoing down here, and if the Terran expos towards him to be offensive, then he's more exposed to be able to counterattack his main base and his natural, and that's exactly what happens this game. And so he wants these rocks down so he can counterattack these bases as Maru is either pressuring this way or pressuring this way. So Maru is completely focused on this portion of the map or this portion of the map. Pretty much all on this side, right down here. And so Life's gonna, go around this way to avoid Maru. And that's what happens a lot in ZVT or ZVP. Zerglings will love to Zerglings need to go where the army is not. And let's kind of speed through this replay. There are only a couple things I want to point out in this replay, because this map particularly, it's a very Terran favored map.
Oh, that sucks.
That does suck.
Oh, that sucks so much.
Please God, be explosive.
So Life's still trying to struggling a little bit to be able to get creep in front of his third base, which is so desperately needed if he's going to be able to defend it well. He sends a scouting ling at these rocks. He's worried that he's about to be pushed. Here comes his counter. Picks off a couple Reapers. He's happy about that. Picks off a couple Marines. Happy about that. Sends one Zergling south. Figures out the gold bases here. Realizes Medivacs and Marines. This was a questionable engagement. He saw a smaller number. Thought he would just A-move. He went back, and he was focusing on his macro and setting those Zerglings up for another counterattack. So, understandable. He's playing with 40-something, 400-something APM. He's focusing on some other things. Still snipes an SCV, got a couple Marines. Wasn't the worst thing. Sets up for the counterattack. But just completely avoids that gold base, knows that Maru's complete attention is on that gold base or putting pressure on frontal offense on Life's third base. So he's obviously still focusing on trying to spread the creep towards his third base, but mainly he wants this counterattack to work. It works wonders, does a really good job. Still struggling with creep down here. Really just A moves, doesn't really worry too much about this engagement. Knows he has enough Bailings to scare Maru away, and Maru's full-on attention is now in his main base. Speed boosting, he has to get the rest of his army back home because his production's getting camped. Sends Zerglings up here, killing just a bunch of SCVs. Life should be feeling really great about this game right now. He's in a huge advantage now, finally. He was kind of at a slight disadvantage before this. Now he's got a true advantage. He's sniping an SCV, feeling like, hey, I might as well get one other kill in. At this point, as you see, Maru pulled every single last SCV that was on gas, off gas. He needs every single last harvester he has to be on minerals, particularly, of course, his gold base.
Yeah.
Life knows, obviously, the rest of his army is in his main base right now, or still at least a little bit distracted by being in the main base. Tries to see what he can get done at the gold base. Realizes that there's a bunker. Questionable to do this, but it does distract him. It's forced to make sure he's pulling these SCVs off to repair. Hurts his income a little bit more. But as you see, 45 harvesters mining minerals still allows Maru to do this push. And because Maru never lost his medevacs, he still has 8 medevacs. And because Maru still has these 8 medevacs, he doesn't